Did you know that the shortest war in recorded history lasted just 38 minutes? It wasn't a fictional story, nor a misunderstanding. It was a real conflict, a real war with cannons, casualties, and consequences. And it happened in the year 1896 on the coast of East Africa in a place called Zanzibar. Zanzibar, at the time, was a small but powerful sultanate with strong cultural ties to the Arab world and a strategic location in the Indian Ocean that made it a key point of interest for European Nile powers, especially the British Empire. After decades of influence and manipulation, the British had effectively turned Zanzibar into a puppet state. They didn't rule it directly, but they pulled the strings from behind the curtain. Then, on August 25th, 1896, everything changed. The ruling sultan, Hamad bin Thawani, who was favored by the British, died suddenly, some say mysteriously, and within hours. Another man, Khalid bin Bargash, took control of the palace and declared himself the new sultan. But Khalid wasn't Britain's man. He refused to consult them, refused to wait for approval, and refused to step down. And his own army. He had his own ideas, his own power. The British were furious. They issued an ultimatum. Khalid had until 9 o'clock a.m. on August 27th to surrender and leave the palace. But Khalid didn't flinch. He barricaded himself inside the palace with nearly 3,000 armed men, heavy weapons, and several artillery pieces aimed at the harbor. He was ready for war. At exactly 9:02 a.m., the deadline expired. And just 2 minutes later, British warships in the harbor opened fire. Cannons roared. Shells exploded. Smoke filled the sky. Above Zanzibar City, the palace was shattered, burning, collapsing. Inside, panic. Within minutes, most of Khalid's guards were dead or fleeing. The Sultan himself escaped through a back door and ran to the German consulate, where he was granted asylum. By 9:40 a.m., the shelling stopped. The war was over. It had lasted exactly 38 minutes. In that short time, over 500 people were killed or wounded, most of them on the Zanzibari side. The British suffered one single injury. The aftermath was just as brutal as the battle. The British installed a new sultan, Hamad bin Mohammed, who immediately signed agreements that gave Britain full control over the island. The puppet strings became chains. Zanzibar's independence faded, and colonial rule deepened. Khalid, he stayed under German protection for years, eventually smuggled out of the country under the cover of darkness. He never ruled again. So, why does this war matter? Because it shows how quickly history can shift, how power, politics, and pride can collide and explode in less time than it takes to finish a movie. And because it marks one of the strangest moments in the age of empires, a war so short, it could have passed while someone was simply making a cup of tea. This was the Anglo-Zanzibar War, the shortest, yet one of the most symbolic wars in modern history. If you love stories like this, true, strange, and unforgettable, make sure to follow us. Because history is full of moments that will blow your mind, sometimes in less than 38 minutes.